We are live.
Yep. Welcome back to the Humble Hustle Project. This is Devin speaking to you. I'm here with obviously my co-host Jake Kailahi, and we're joined today by a very special guest, Brian Mays. What's up, Brian? Welcome to the welcome to the project and podcast, man.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here, man. I'm super excited because when we were talking about people to have on this podcast as guests, I asked Devin and Brian Mays was one of the first names that came out of his mouth, and I was like, I have not met Brian yet. I need to know who Brian is, and after even just a brief research, bro, you are all over the place, man. You have your hand in a bunch of different things, putting on for a lot of different people, putting people on a lot of game, and one of the things I really like that, at least from the outsider looking in, that doesn't have too much experience with you, is the community work that it seems like you're doing for a lot of people. So, Dev, if you want to start us off, feel free to hop in here.
No, I'd love to. And just to kind of like edify that, like, Brian, it's been beautiful to kind of see this and just have like a personal relationship with you, man, to see you grow, and not only be the leader that I know you are just in my life, but for others, right? And but I'd love to kind of digress away from like personal connections. I'd love for the audience, the community that we built here, to get a better understanding of who you are, man. Would you mind introducing yourself, telling people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, man. I appreciate the intro, man. We've been rocking a while, and I'm excited to be on the show. A little bit about me. My name is Brian Mays. I'm the founder of Smile Natural Products, currently located in Los Angeles. Know Dev from UCSB college days. We first met there. I think I was maybe a sophomore, maybe junior at the time. I think I got a couple years on Devin, but Devin's somebody who has been always been like my younger brother. Somebody who I've learned a lot from. Also somebody who we kind of came up hustling together.
Yeah, we did.
I'm excited to talk a little bit more about that, later on in the interview.
Definitely. For people who don't know, when I met Brian Mays, I definitely looked up to him like a brother. And I mean, it was funny because after the first day I met him, I was literally on his day the next morning knocking on door with a good friend of ours, Anthony Vidales. And he couldn't get rid of us from there on. You know what I mean? It was one of those relationships. He was always looking out for us. I mean, we came from eating Spam and eggs to Spam and rice, and now we are in a place where we're doing we can pick and choose where we want to eat. You know what I mean?
Now, man, I'm back plant-based. I don't do the Spam no more, but yeah, man, it was a time, man. It was a time.
We came a ways, man. But no, I'm curious to know, man, for the listeners in the audience who aren't familiar with Smile Natural Products, man, what led you to building such a beautiful brand and empire?
Yeah, man. So yeah, I started in 2017. I never set out to start a toothpaste company or hygiene company. It was just something that evolved from a passion project.
Mm-hmm.
So back in 2017, I was living in Brooklyn, New York. I was working downtown, Wall Street area. I was a sales manager at a company, at a targeted marketing company based out of New York. And was also, newer to New York. I'd been there at that point a couple years, so I wanted to get involved in the community then. So I joined the Urban League, and through Urban League, I joined their community service committee. And this was around the time they were gearing up to raise money for kids going back to school. And I wanted to contribute. Obviously, had my time that I can contribute, but I wanted to be able to make an impact financially, and I didn't have a lot of disposable income. If anybody knows, New York is really expensive, so I came up with the idea to actually sell some toothpaste, which I had been making and testing out just for personal uses over the past few months, and I wanted to sell that toothpaste to help make a contribution. I thought it was a way that I can kind of leverage something that I was already doing, something I was like randomly interested in. And use that to fund this project. So out of that, man, I sold my toothpaste for about a month, and we were able to sell enough toothpaste to buy 100 family school supplies. And from that moment, I think that solidified for me what would be my purpose with this business, and which is to leave things in a better way than I left them. living in New York, one of the biggest things I noticed, biggest difference, I love New York, love the energy of the city. Maybe not the wintertime so much, but there's one thing that I noticed when I was there was just how much trash there was everywhere, everywhere. Um, and I think that was more so noticeable in my neighborhood in Brooklyn. And I wanted to be when I created this business, I had my environment in mind, my immediate community in mind. Not only for these kids that we were fundraising for in East New York, in the Lewis Pink projects, but also, okay, I want to create something that's not going to create additional waste. We know Black and Brown communities are most susceptible to issues related to waste in communities. Our neighborhoods don't get the same funding as other neighborhoods when it comes to that. So that's not something I also wanted. I just really wanted to be intentional with the business all around. Additionally, the reason I was making toothpaste in the first place was, on a plant-based diet at the time and not wanting to consume animal products, 90% of toothpaste at that time had animal byproducts in them. So that was something that I didn't want to consume. I wanted to be intentional about. And then just toxic products. I think if we really look at a lot of the things that you have access to in Black and Brown communities, a lot of those things are toxic products, and a lot of times even more expensive. We talked about, you look at food deserts, and one of my things that led to me making a toothpaste was I couldn't find fluoride-free toothpaste in any of the bodegas in walking distance of my house. So I was like, I'm just gonna make my own. I'm gonna make it taste how I want, and I'm gonna give it the benefits that I want. And I think, part of some people might say toothpaste is kind of random. But I think for me at that time, my grandfather was actually a dentist. Now he and I always had the best relationship, but I also thought of this as, maybe a way to potentially connect to them. Yeah. So, there was a lot of things that happened at one time that I think really led to this great business model. And yeah, man, here we are today.
I'd love to ask a question off of that. Okay, your product is is trying to reduce waste or not contribute to waste. Was that a value of yours that you've always had? Was it something that you developed later on in your life? Was it something that you noticed very early on in your communities that this is an issue and that you want to help not be a contributor to that issue?
Yeah, exactly. I think I was, living in California, even in, not the best neighborhoods in California, it just didn't compare to the noticeable amount of trash and just all of this waste that was created from, this large population in New York. And I just saw that contrast between going to certain parts of Manhattan versus, Black and Brown neighborhoods in Brooklyn and, maybe in the Bronx. Like that's one of the first things that you noticed, like on the sidewalks, you're walking down the streets and you do a lot of walking. If you're in New York, you're doing a lot of walking and you got to fight through the trash in the sidewalk. It's crazy. So, I'm an observer of my environment, and it was something where I knew I could make an immediate impact. And it's something where to me, it seemed like there was just it was a no-brainer. Like, it was a no-brainer. We know there are billion plastic toothpaste tubes that end up in landfills, oceans, every week. It was something that I could quickly fix. It wasn't the easiest thing to do. It's not the cheapest, but I wanted to do that. I wanted to do something intentionally that was going to leave my community a better place.
That's gold, man. And I'd love to kind of this is going to dive into a different, little bit of a different topic, but kind of moving through the trash of our current climate in terms of people seeing entrepreneurs such as yourself thrive and, being able to affect the community in such a great place, creating brands like our piece of the pie, which we can definitely touch on in a little bit. How do you tend to stay center, bro? Because I've always, as I've seen you move from when we were in Santa Barbara to when you made a move out to New York, even coming back to Cali, I've seen you stay center and just not allow yourself to be affected by any of the elements that I see other entrepreneurs dragged down by?
Well, yeah, I'm flattered, but I wish I could say it was that easy, man. I wish I could say it was that easy. Like I just got back from a little vacation, a few day vacation in Blossstein. I think that's one thing that's always kind of helped me stay motivated was having that peace, having that solace. And I think one of the things that's, at least for me and my personality type, being able to spend a lot of time alone. Entrepreneurship can be very lonely, oftentimes very singular, especially if you maybe are in a leadership role, specifically. It finding peace in myself and finding, this business and running this business has really challenged me in a lot of areas. And I think one of the things that I've noticed as I had less time to spend with other people, how much I really enjoyed spending time with myself, and really seeing the value of doing things that were important to me with the limited time that I had left after working, when I founded the business, a full-time job, 60, 70 hours a week corporate, and then putting in, another 20, 30 in the business on the side until I was doing it full time. So, you begin to really understand when your time is very limited. You really begin to learn about yourself, what's important to you, and just setting boundaries. That's something that I'm continuously working on, is setting healthy boundaries with other people, with my time, and just because I know that I need to be on point so that I can positively impact my team and other people around me that we're looking to impact to the business. So just understanding that and understanding my purpose and my goal, I need to be on point. I need to be A1. And sometimes, you try to push through and not hit those points, man, where you're burnt out, you hit that low point, you're not performing, you're making mistakes, and it's not a good place to be. So like this last trip I took a couple of days ago, it was pretty impromptu, man. It wasn't something that was particularly planned, but it was just like, we need to do this. We got to do this. It maybe wasn't the best time, but it's never the best time. I feel good, man. I feel recharged. My back's feeling better. My knees feel,
You don't feel old right now. You feel good, bro?
Things feeling loose.
Got to pull a little bit. Yeah, man. I'm feeling good, man.
Nice, man. Well, I wanted to touch on something that you said, that you talked about how, entrepreneurship can be really lonely sometimes, or that it's almost a solo journey often. When you were first starting, was it just you? Was it a collective of people? Was it friends you were tapping shoulders on? With the Humble Hustle project, I basically was like, Dev, this kind of fits your realm. Come join me on this. I got another homie. I was like, come be the editor for this. Do you mess with this rather?
Yeah, man,
and I was like, let's do this. So I guess my question is, like, how was it off the jump for you?
Yeah, man. So I did everything myself for the first year and a half. And then I finally thought to get an intern. Didn't have money for hire, so I got an intern. And at that point, I didn't have the foresight to look into investing and getting a co-founder. And I think that's probably I look at the growth of our business now and bringing in, a partner. My girl's my partner in the business now. I've known her for years. We actually met at UCSB also. But I've noticed the biggest strides in our business when I was able to bring someone in that was as invested as I was. Because, sometimes with interns are great. They can be great, but they can also be very time consuming. They can also, need a lot of your attention, and you need to give them value too. So, sometimes it can defeat the purpose if you're not managing an intern efficiently, or anybody on your team. If you hire someone and your first hire is not productive relative to how much they're costing you, it can hurt your cash flow, and then you could be in a worse position. Or even just hiring the right people. So, but with the right team, man, it's just so much easier. It's so much easier. your piece of the pie might be smaller initially, but if you're getting something long term, which I think you should be for something that you're really putting a lot of time, energy, and effort to, um, the value that you get from adding an additional person that's as invested as you are is not, it's not 2x. It's at least like 4x. Because you're looking at, I looking at in times where I've been exhausted, and it's, to have somebody I can kind of lean on, prop me up a little bit when I'm about to pass out, or that motivation. It's like an X factor. You know what I mean? When it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you got, hundreds of orders to get out, and you got somebody right there rolling with you, you got a little bit more energy. Your tank is a little bit bigger when you have someone else, when you have someone there that you're able to get fuel from. So,
on top of that, so you start solo dolo, you're on your own. Like, what's your team looking like now?
Yeah, so we now have 6 people on the team. Myself and my girl, her name's Shayla. She's our COO. We have 3 people that kind of rotate in our production team, making our product, and then we have 2 people who rotate. Oh, sorry, that makes 7. But yeah, most of those are part time, and then we just kind of get them in as we need them. But yeah, I'm trying to be mindful of mindful of our output for every team member that we have. Because sometimes it seems like it's great to have all these people, but you also got to manage all these people. A sales manager, and in my last corporate role, and that in itself is a job, just managing people. So it's a lot to juggle, man. It's a lot to juggle, but you got to like the challenge, you got to like the process, and I think that's what's going to give you the will to see it through.
I love that, man. And that kind of like leads me into my next question. Like with as many challenges that you've come to come up against, and the growth of Smile Natural Products, how have you stayed away or avoided from being complacent? Like, how have you like really consistently been so creative, and how you built this out?
Yeah, man. I wish I could say my consistency was always there, man. There were times when it wasn't there. I remember having some health issues, some digestive issues for a while, and that, man, just being in a position where my health was compromised, I wasn't at 100% for an extended period of time. That stuff can kind of weigh on you mentally, and yeah, man, there was a period where we were going up and up and up and up like this subscription-based model, growing, and I get sick. And then it takes a dip, and then I make a bad hire, and then that leads to bigger mistakes, and then there's times I've had to I've hit pretty low valleys at some point, but we're now a lot further off. I haven't been afraid to pivot in the process, but I think I'm always operating on every time that I feel like I want to quit. I take a second to visualize what this is going to look like in 5 and 10 years. What the ocean's going to smell like from my yacht. What the amount of people that I'm able to impact with some of the things that I'm doing. The amount of people that are dependent on me that I need to do this for. And I think that kind of helps me get back into grind mode. Reminds me to not give up. But yeah, man, it's crossed my mind a lot of time. It's not something that's always easy to do. I'd like to say that, I'm passionate about it and I always want to do it. But yeah, man, there's days where I just want to be like, man, fuck it. Like, well, not today.
I got a question for you then. So because I feel like there's a distinct quality with some of the entrepreneurs that are both, coming up and kind of from our generation,
definitely
more or less, about us, like almost like socially responsible. Like there's a sense that they want to give back to the community. They want to give back in some fashion. What has been your experience with building out that persona or brand that Smile Natural Products kind of embodies, and maybe other things that are attached to the work that you're doing outside of either Smile Natural Products or the community that is around you, I guess to say more or less.
Yeah, man. I think when I started this was always started with wanting to make an impact. That was always the, from the day one that we started with this. Um, I feel like we have a responsibility,
Mm.
To lift as we climb.
Mm.
I've been very
Talk to him.
fortunate to have people uplift me. I've been very fortunate to have people take me under their wing, and I've seen this done. I've seen other people that I admire, be able to make this impact, and I think that's the true that's the true market success. Not like what you have, and at least to me,
Mm.
um, the impact that you make. Because when you're, when you're gone and you can no longer have access to your money, the impact that you've made on people is what lives on. So yeah, man, I try to remind myself of that. We're planning out our next initiatives now, for some community programs that we have coming up. I have some dope things that I want to do. But at the end of the day, what am I without the impact that I made?
Mm.
And kind of speaking to that, one of the things, so what Brian hasn't mentioned, and I don't mean to steal your thunder, bro, but I'm going to go ahead and touch on it. What he hasn't mentioned is one of the things he created, which is our piece of the pie, right? And I'll let you kind of curate how you'd love, the audience and the community to understand our piece of the pie. But where there wasn't a marketplace before for people of of underrepresented communities to be able to market themselves, and kind of have their piece of the pie, if you will, like pun intended, like that. He created this marketplace, and that's one of the many things he's created along this journey. One that has continuously impacted not only people around him, but the community, and which is a big reason why I myself look at him as a leader within the community of people that I know, as well as the community that he's in. But B Mays, man, if you wouldn't mind like touching on what exactly is our piece of the pie, I think people would really attach themselves to it if they understood exactly what it was.
Yeah, so full disclosure, I recently stepped down from our piece of the pie to focus on the business, man. It's kind of to that spot to where I want to circle back to it, and I have some plans to incorporate that into our new retail store that's coming. But the motivation behind founding our piece of the pie initially. So around was it around a year and a half ago now, had a we had a fire at our store, first store, and you know, store there was a we had to pretty much start from scratch. I was in between places. I immediately got a new place after the fire. There was some drama there. Landlord basically we signed a contract, started moving in, changed their mind after the fact, rented it out to someone else within a few weeks, and we were just like, okay, what do we do? We took that as a sign, and I in that moment of okay, what can we do? Store is not here. We don't have a place for people to come get their products. Obviously we still have online, but even still being new to New York, only a year or so in New York. I'm sorry, in LA. I needed to have a way to build community here locally. New business from New York. So I hit markets, man. Every market I could go to, I was going where people were, and through that, I got a really positive experience, and I wanted to bring that to other entrepreneurs. I knew that impact it was able to make for me, and I feel like it was something that I know could work well for other people who at this time were struggling to keep afloat. We know a lot of Black and brown owned businesses are underfunded, undercapitalized as is. So could this be a way to help other people out, to get other people's channels out who maybe didn't have an online presence? So collaborated with some of our friends from a nonprofit called Black at the Ballot. We did a lot of work with them over the last summer and getting people registered to vote. And it just made sense. It was something that worked for me. It was something that I knew would work for other people. And, it was really fulfilling, and it's still fulfilling, to see them to see the growth of it. You know, when we first started, there was maybe 9 vendors or so, and I think it's currently grown to about 30 vendors
Jeez.
meeting weekly, every week. And then there also still have community involved. So dope event. Highly encourage everybody to check it out. Fridays and Saturdays weekly, downtown LA Arts District. It's dope. Yeah, it's a great event.
Damn, that's dope, man.
That is, man.
I like that. Well, 'cause for me, when I hear you talk about that and just the inspiration behind it and what you were doing that led to it, of like this ground game that like really just showing up and showing face a lot of times, just so people can associate the brand, associate the face with the brand, and really like just be in the trenches. Like I think that's really what spoke to me with that was like,
Yeah,
I think a lot of people don't realize like that kind of old school, what I would consider old school entrepreneur mentality still applies. Of like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
got to be in
man.
these trenches in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing too, some people I feel like may have perceived that as a step back. We go from a store to doing little pop-ups at markets here and there, but at the same time, the amount of insight that I was able to get from that, doing something that wasn't scalable, getting real-time feedback from my customer base, being able to make improvements, in real time, what people like, what they don't like, giving people product samples, and being able to almost run like little test groups real time. And a lot of those people are lifelong customers. I look at a lot of our names, and I can't keep up with everybody, but I recognize the names, and I see, and I look at our customers, and where did those customers start? A lot of those people were able to, I feel like, become long-term or potentially lifelong customers because I was able to get in front of them and tell them my story
Mm.
face to face. And that's something that is to be able to shake someone's hand, to be able to hear from the founder himself. I know that's something that I've had experiences with meeting people, and some of my friends, like, you always see me. 90% of the t-shirts I wear are from my friends' clothing brands, people that I've met, or it's people just doing something dope or positive that I wanted to support, and I also like they have their great work.
Mm. How important is the story to the brand? How important is it that people kind of make a personal association to either you or your products, more or less?
Yeah, man, it's huge. It's huge. I think if you look at, I think sometimes a lot of people um, kind of get caught up in comparing, maybe where they are in the beginning as a solo entrepreneur or a new entrepreneur to, 100-year-old businesses that may not have a face attached to it. They may not have, um, that same story attached to them. But one of the key reasons, man, I think people really connected with me and resonated with our brand is because they got to know me as a person.
Mm.
They understood what I stood for, and I think that trust, it's important for people who don't know you to have that in order to invest in your business and your brand. So you can achieve that through your online presence to a degree. You can have great reviews, but I know for me, I don't want to give any money to anybody whose values I don't agree with, because I'm investing in their business, then I'm investing in their values ultimately. You see a lot of these big corporations, and they make these private donations to all kinds of causes and things that are not beneficial to a lot of people. Whether it be through lobbying, through more prison reform, or to lobbying to make it okay for toxic ingredients to be put in products, man. I want my money to go where people is going to leave a positive impact,
Mm.
and somebody's a good steward of that money. So that's how I live my life, and I can tell you for a fact that I've gotten so much feedback on the strength of people know who I am, people rocking what I'm doing, and I built even friendships with a lot of our customers through that.
Big bro's out here leading by example, man.
Phenomenal, bro.
It is amazing. And like for people who don't know, this is Brian Mays' brand, Smile Natural Products. Like, it was also featured in, and please correct me if I'm wrong, B Mays, but it's also featured in Beyonce's Black Enterprise website, where they highlighted a lot of black businesses that were doing well, giving back to the community. It was also highlighted in Cosmopolitan as well. It was featured in many different publications, from ones in New York all the way out to ones in LA. And I just want to give you your flowers while you're on here, because it is important that we lift up the leaders who are really creating the change that they speak about, instead of the people who just, kind of speak about change and then, kind of take from others and kind of create it on their own. Not really going to speak to that, but I think it's really important to be the change that you wish to see, and it's really great to see that you are that. And one of the things I would love to ask, man, so far since you built this community, and being such a pillar in the community that you're in, what's one of your proudest moments so far?
Man. One of my proudest moments. It changes, man. It changes. If you were to ask me in my first year of business, I probably would have told you, one of our early initiatives was I was able to send some school supplies to a school out in Baltimore. One of my friends who I went to college with, she's teaching out there, not the best neighborhood, and she had her kids send me. It was about 6 different projects that they sent with the materials that I sent them, and had them on my wall for a while, and it was a really proud moment to see that impact in action. I would say right now, I think it is. I'm really happy with the team that we have. I was just thinking about this last week, and man, we've been able to hit huge strides in growth this year, and that's always been one of my biggest challenges up until this point, was finding the right people, finding people to build with, and being able to assess the right character, being able to identify people that I feel like are invested in our brand and our growth, and I feel like we have that now. And last week was a great week for us, a week that led up to me being able to take a vacation, because we were able to get things done that we need to get done, and just celebrating those small wins. Yeah, man, as of recently, that was probably a time I look back and was like, what, I feel really good about where we're at right now. I feel really good about this team that we have, and when things are clicking, you can kind of feel it.
But dude, that spoke out to me as soon as you were talking about, because me personally, I work in education, so anytime you tell me that you're giving back to the students, anytime that they're even creating the stuff that you're providing to them to create a result or outcome, I don't know, man, it just warms my heart, and that's like one of the goals with the podcast, right? Is just center the work that a lot of different people are doing in unique and really community centered ways. And I think one of the things, a question I have for you is like, what is your vision for the future here? And maybe we can start beginning to wrap it up here. But what is your vision for Smile Natural Products in the future? What are things people can begin to look into or look forward to with you and what you got going on?
Yeah, we've got some exciting things coming. New store location on the way. Also, things I'm really excited about. We're currently also in a venture capital program through Zane Access. So they're prepping us, getting us ready to really raise venture capital money. And we haven't completely decided that that's the direction that we want to go. But I know with some of the things that we have planned, we have personalized oral care on its way. That'll be built over the next couple of months. So I'm excited to introduce that to people. I think that's going to be something that's really groundbreaking in our space, and just in terms of customer experience, really going to really set us apart. Obviously upholding sustainability and transparency in our ingredients in that process. But yeah, man, I'm really excited for this year. I'm excited to hit our revenue goals for this year. I'm excited to grow the team. I'm excited for making an impact in the community.
Oh yeah, man.
And let me just go ahead and attest to this. So for people who don't know, when I met B Mays, I was like a very excited kid, had a lot of energy, right? I just didn't have much direction. And
you still got that energy. I don't know what you're talking about.
But this man Brian Mays here, he was one of the only people I had met up until that point, and also word to Anthony Vidales as well. But he was one of those people who definitely changed my mind in terms of like the books I should be reading, how I should be dressing, or just like, and kind of like gave me a different, like he helped change my paradigm by being that example, right? So when he's speaking about what he's doing for the community and the brand that he's building, even what they're coming out with, I just want the listeners to understand this isn't something this man just like talks about, and you can clearly see it from Smile Natural Products, even as far as Our Piece of the Pie and so many other projects he's involved in, as well as the publications he's on. But you can see it within the daily connections that he makes and the people that are in his life. I can honestly say that meeting this man changed my entire life, and that's why I look to him like he's a big brother, because for me, I wouldn't be who I am without him. And I know my dad was very, very happy and proud that I was able to connect with somebody of his caliber. And like I'm saying all these things because I need you to understand, the listeners, that that's one of the goals with the Humble Hustle Project, is not only to introduce you to these leaders within your community, the people who are really focused on fostering change, but to encourage you and to inspire you to still be that for the people who are around you in your life, because it's going to be very important, and you never know who's watching. Because I can say right now that I don't know if Brian ever knew how much of an effect he'd have on my life, but I can say that I wouldn't be here today without him. So it's beautiful to see a lot of this come full circle, but also to know this is still the beginning for all of us here.
Yeah, and real quick, what was that story you told me about Brian just sitting down with you and just like having to hold you accountable?
Oh man, okay. So B Mays, we talked about this. Jake and I talked about this on the first podcast, but knowing that when I first met you guys, I was in a place where I wasn't honest with myself. I wasn't very accountable to my words, and I was kind of talking out of my ass, for a lack of a better expression, right? I wasn't being the type of person that I always personified or always like said I was. And Brian Mays and Anthony Vidales, I remember because they came together and they just talked to me about it. They were like, yo, like, you don't need to bullshit us. Like, we're the people who've been here with you since we met you and be running with you. We want to see you grow, and you can do a lot of things, but there's no point in BSing us. And he was honest with me and just straightforward. And it was one of those moments where it was just like, damn, like I had to be honest with myself and take their feedback, because I knew it was coming from a genuine place. And these are two people that I admired and two people that I looked up to in such a great way. And they were being completely honest with me and just telling me like, yo, there's no need for you to be full of shit. Like, it's okay, bro. Like, if you're not happy with where you are, then change it. But they, from that point, instead of just kind of telling me their perspective on me, that's where I'm saying that B May stepped up, and he really was, even from when I met him, like the person to step up and say, like, listen, if this is not what you want, if this is what, these are goals you have, like, okay, why aren't you reading this book? Have you looked into this? Like, really breaking down things that I was currently doing and finding out how they align to the purpose that I was speaking to them about, right? And that really changed so much of how I viewed friendships, my trajectory from there. Everything pivoted from that point, bro.
I love that story because it centers the accountability part that I really appreciate when it comes to like having the closest people that are in your life just kind of check you. And I know we're coming up on time here, and I wanna just kind of close out with Brian. Do you have anything else? Any final words, tips, advice, takes that you'd like to share with people that begin this journey to kind of define their own lane or career lane, or just themselves ultimately?
Big facts.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I'm Devin. I'm humbled. I'm always, it always makes me happy to see your progress. We've both grown a lot together since the time we've known each other, and I feel honored to be able to say that you're impacted by our friendship. So I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, going off of that point, last words, I would say find a way to inspire people. I think a lot of us We have skills, we have talent. Some of them maybe not as refined as we want them to be. Um, but I think it is our duty for us to inspire people. Maybe it's if it's just us executing the things that we do well, um, but finding a way to do that, the thing that makes you happy, so that you can inspire others to do things that make them happy. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, when people are doing things that they care about and passionate about, that's when things that matter get done.
Mm.
And those are also the things that we've got a lot of time that hopefully a lot of us have a lot of time that we have on here on this earth, but a lot of us don't. And you know, there's so many ways that we can spend our time. There's so many resources now where you can do anything that you want to do. And I think it's each of us responsibility to be doing that thing for everybody else. So, yeah, man, I would just leave you guys with that.
Man, I appreciate that. Episode 13 wrap that, bro.
That was solid, man.
Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate you coming and rocking with us on here. As we're figuring out this podcast lane, figuring out how we feel about it, how we're defining it, and how we can inspire others. Man. So.
Killing it already, man. I'm excited to see where you guys take this, man. I like the format. Format of the show was great. Conversation was great. You guys offer some great insight, personal stories. So, yeah, man, I'll definitely be watching and rooting you guys on. And if anything I can do to help out with you guys too, let me know.
You're already doing it, B-Mays. You here, man. Let me just say to the community who's listening in, man, tap in with Brian Mays, his brand. Do you want to plug your social media so people can connect with you?
Yeah, man, check us out. Smile Natural Products on Instagram, Facebook. SmileNaturalProducts.com or feelsgoodtosmile.com. Personal Instagram, smile_Brian Mays on Instagram.
Yes,
there
sir.
You go.
Yes, sir. That's a wrap, y'all. We'll catch you next time. Deuces.
All right, appreciate you.